Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned to ADBN Television's flagship program, Morning Express. We're into the second half of our discussion this morning, but still centering on the need for a better accountability and transparency in public finance management. Our next guest is a Geospatial Analyst in the person of Mr. Yusuf Muyideen. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to the studio.
Good morning, and good morning, viewers. It will be a ride of sensible advocates.
Now, in moving to our next conversations, whilst we are running 3 budget cycles concurrently, there's also moves to approve the MTEF for 2026 to 2028. A decision is reached by the Federal Executive Council with projections for the year 2026 in terms of spendings. There's a new benchmark for the exchange rate, which has been projected to be 1,512 naira to a dollar. The benchmark for a barrel of crude oil is also pegged at $68, alongside other metrics in terms of what the revenue is to accrue to the government in 2026. However, it's also on revenue gaps that remain a huge problem. Yeah. Now, first off, let's start with the current structure in keeping with our quest of maintaining a January to December budget cycle, which has failed to hold. We're currently running 3 budget cycles, as it were. Yeah. What do you make of this most recent approval?
Good morning once again, viewers. You know, this country, we have the way we behave, and the minders of the country and the leaders too must evolve a mechanism to continue to deal with people. When Buhari came in 2015, he made a frantic effort so that we continue to have a budget cycle that runs from January to December, and it should be tentative. One of the steps he takes is even to cascade the appointment of minister for 6 months, so as the civil servants can run the system, so that there will be a clearing house as to be able to mitigate such a reoccurrence. Muhammadu Buhari tried it, but because we are operating a system whereby a contractor will collect contract, they will collude with people in the civil service not to do the contract, and money will be awarded, or they will continue to do variation on that same contract. And when you have a new sheriff in town who is well versed in solving problem, he may use a methodology to tackle such a problem head on, trying to make sure that he mitigates against such occurrence. And this is what led us to this conundrum. If the government is trying to solve a problem and the system continues to fight back, we always have this logjam. That's why you can see they are trying to clear. It's a clearinghouse. The Asiwaju-led administration and the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration have a task of clearing the moribund system, the bureaucratic bottleneck associated with contract award and budget implementation. So if you are seeing this conundrum, we are not going to bring people from the planet to solve this problem. It's still something that is synonymous with the Nigerian system. And in the Yoruba parlance, they have a common say that adieba lokun, aro rokun, aro radie, meaning that when a bird perch on a thread line, this thread line we use in drying clothes, and a bird perch on it, you know, the thread line will not be stable, and the bird itself will not be stable. And that's what is happening to the system. So as it is now, they will continue to fight. As they fight, the system will continue to fight back. And if they fight back, this conundrum will continue until we will come together as a nation, both the lead and the led, the leader and the led, and the National Assembly all together will come together that yes, we want to do the needful and do the right thing. To solve this problem, it's multifaceted. There are a lot of people that are involved, the civil servant, the contractor, the Nigerian people, the legislature. All of us are culpable in this. You want to collect contract already, maybe the contract has even over bloated, yet to implement and make sure you execute this contract, it become a problem. So the government, when they come in, that okay, let's solve this problem once and for all, no matter what it takes. And that's what leads us to this logjam.
Now, these narratives of what constitutes our budget implementation in the country, which is very worrying, was hoped to have been made better by the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, which encompasses our economic assumptions, our outlook for the year, and our spending priorities in the next 3 years. Now, the projections is that it's going to be 50.68 trillion naira.
Yeah.
But that is also in a deficit of 20 trillion naira thereabouts.
Yeah.
How do we better plan around our deficits in revenue, owing to the fact that some of the metrics we have used to peg our projections falter, particularly with our over-dependence on our oil revenue?
We've worked around having other sources of revenue over the years. You know what is happening as far as agriculture is concerned, the insecurity and the likes. So for government to shift away from crude oil and the petroleum regime, it has been very difficult. Then we have the mineral resources coming in, trying to at least augment our revenue basis. Then the tax regime. Now, when the tax regime comes and is probably implemented, there will be balance in deficit in the receipt of income and expenditure. When that happens, then we can be able to at least stabilize. Then we will focus less on the oil. Oil will now serve as a complementary source of revenue. When these two key sectors, the agriculture and tax regime, work efficiently. So if that has not been done, we will still remain in this conundrum because the system is most of the expenditure and other things. Even if you go to a supermarket where they are supposed to report every sales so that the government will be able to tax as appropriately, you will see that in their balance sheet they cut corners in the presentation. So our economy is still operated maybe in the black market level because people don't report their income and some people keep money away from the system. In as much as we continue to do this, there is no a comprehensive approach to look at this holistically. We'll still continue to find ourselves in this conundrum, and we have to be factual as to what we are earning, what are we getting, what are we spending. So that's why the government will do a sensible budget as to this is what we have, and so this deficit is as a result of being factual by the government. This is what we can do, and as such, the government cannot go beyond what it has seen, what it can see, and sometimes some things will under the process because of the certainty. Like now in the oil sector, we have the gas regime. If all things have been perfect, there is no coup in some part of West African country. Nigeria is supposed to lay a pipe that will go to Europe, that will make more revenue available through the oil and gas sector. But this was cut short by the coup in Niger and some other way because you can't be working across a terrain where there's insecurity and the Boko Haram conundrum. So we have a lot of insecurity issue that has affected our economic earnings over the years, and these are the things we continue to battle with.
But these issues have lingered with us, and they well inform the what they call it, the institution of a committee on oil theft, pipeline vandalization, which is chaired by the chairman of Progressive Governors Forum, Opus Odimma. I don't know if you recall, but at the 153rd NEC meeting, there was a growing call of concern on some of the loopholes in revenue remittance, particularly from mining activities across Nigeria. You much alluded to the fact that we need to divest away from over-reliance on oil revenue. But mining, which is almost like a close substitute in terms of how much
we can get.
Yes, we can get in the country, also still has these loopholes. Would you say that the committee is not delivering on its oars, or what do you think is mitigating against the success of having all these revenue loopholes being plugged?
You know that we are operating a nation whereby there are systems behind the system. Like this mining sector is being run by cartel. Bigger than that, you can see, because when when there is Niger Delta militancy in the oil sector, but ever since history had it, mining sites or mining communities where there are mining opportunity, where revenue can be accrued for mining, has been bedeviled by security. If you look back, the Congo Zaire, the Sierra Leonean civil war are associated with mining, and this current Boko Haram issue that we are having and other banditry have close correlation with mining. Even recently, the northern governors and the northern elders and the emirate and the likes met, and one of the resolutions on that security summit in the north is to stop mining fortuitously, so that it is for the next 1 year, mining activity has to be stopped so that the issue of insecurity can be tackled head on. So
is it that we cannot, would I call it, throw away the bathwater without throwing away the baby along with it. What I'm saying is, yes, it's good to suspend it like it's been proposed for a 6 months initial period.
Yeah.
But are we saying that we cannot license trustworthy persons who we can monitor the activities without having infiltrations from bandits and those who are alleged illegal miners?
You see, the problem is that even those people licensed can be the one doing this because of they want to underreport what they are getting on sites. And one of the things is that even the oil sector that you are seeing is still not clear as to how much. Like now, we are one of the 6th largest in the world in terms of oil sector. Dangote and the likes are into that business now, and they are doing it internally now. We are seeing the benefits since that our refineries are coming up. Before now, what we earn in the oil sector is underreported at more than 30 to 40%. So many times you see that Sanusi, when he was CBN governor, has accused the NNPC of underreporting how much they are getting. The same similar thing happened during Emefiele. So you can see even the oil sector that's supposed to be the mainstay and the trailblazer in terms of transparency is not as such transparent. Like now, if you go to Brazil, they have a certain Petrobras and the Saudi Aramco. At par with the Nigerian NNPC, we are not doing well. In terms of, look at what the magnificent work a single individual in the person of Dangote is doing. Over the year, the NNPC cannot bring up a refinery, a functional refinery, which somebody came in 10 years since the inception of Goodluck to date. And today we have one of the largest refinery, in fact, the largest single train refinery in the world, courtesy a single individual. It's a shame on the number of engineers.
Now you're quite brilliantly highlighted our potentials to be at par with the likes of Saudi Aramco. But I would ask you a question based off of what the Minister of National Planning, Alhaji Atiku Bagudu, said yesterday, briefing journalists after the 154th NEC meeting. He talked about the benchmarks going into 2026, saying that for crude oil, looking at producing 2.06 million barrels per day, a barrel of that would be $64. When we make such economic assumptions on the outlook of 2026, don't you think they should be guided by our current realities? It's good to be optimistic, saying that you want to build a house by the end of the year, but you should look at how much you have saved towards that project. Comparatively with that indices, do you think that that is overambitious? Because we're reportedly falling short of the OPEC quota as well.
But even budget itself, in its literary sense, is an intent, not a reality. I budget to do this, and this is what I can do. If all parameters are constant, this is what we'll be able to.
But you have surplus budgets, the same way you have deficit budgets. If you have much in your bank and you budget below how much you have, it will be well catered for. Not when you don't have as much. Most
of the time we run a budget at deficit in Nigeria. You know that, because when you budget above, you budget. Then there are other uncertainties that may cripple in. That's why I'm talking about the insecurity. There are places now today in Nigeria, if you even want to go and get the resources and earn revenue, it's not possible when bandits are taking over villages and community, local government, and they are dictating the pace. If you want to, there's some road now, if you want to pass with commodity, goods and services, it's very, very difficult for you to do so today in Nigeria. So all those, we are in a state whereby certainty is not 100%, it's just 0.5.
Mr. Yusuf, don't get me wrong.
Don't
get me wrong. My point here is, as much as we plan, in terms of fiscal planning, there should be fiscal discipline. In as much as you put a projection, there should be also a conservative baseline. Say you're going for 2.06 million barrels per day. And at the moment, you're producing just 1.6, which is largely also supported by a private entity in Dangote, who you mentioned. There won't be anything wrong in putting that, say, 1.7, other than aiming all the way for 2.6 and saying, oh, we're falling short of our projected targets.
In budgeting, sometimes you must exceed your capacity.
So are we saying you aim for the sky, so if you don't hit the sky, you fall on the zinc? Is that where you're looking at it from?
That's the best way to budget, because it make you work hard and it make you put more effort so that you can reach. But if you're not able to reach, you will not be you have exceed your initial, or you have done more than you are supposed to do. If you had already put it at benchmark, okay, I can do 1.5 and you stay at 1.3, for instance, then you have limited yourself. But if you can do 1.5 and you're sure you can do 1.5 and you're not shoot for 2.5, then if you achieve that 1.5, at least you have done. So it's a normal thing. There are people that mind the budget, the financial expert, and there are other variables But what I'm just saying is that as it now that we have the perfect economy and imperfect economy that our elementary economists taught us. But one thing that I want you to know that the Nigerian state of economy in terms of transparency that you started this discussion with is still an imperfect economy, because all the variables, all the things that are supposed to be brought to the table, then the system are not doing enough to make sure that this transparency index is achieved. There are some economic activity that remain opaque up to today, unknown, and people interests, a lot of interest comes in to make sure that that particular sector remain a bit moribund in terms of achievable and from the derivables that is in those sectors. That's why I want to just abuse the issue of mining. In Nasarawa State now, we have one of the biggest lead factory, courtesy the bitumen and other things that are. So they are doing battery. The Chinese company came in. Now we have the biggest in West Africa. This is transparency. The government, they do PPP. Now the national state government and the federal government know how much revenue is accrued to the state. Now, just suppose that was Zamfara State where they have gold. How many gold flint company do you have? What is the transparency level in Zamfara as compared to what you have in Nasarawa today? Both states are in the north, and I just mentioned because of the peer review mechanism in indices. So now what I'm trying to hit at is that you cannot give what you do not have, and the transparency that is available in some sector we cannot be able to plan because of the level of that transparency.
I like that you brought up this gold issue, because when we had the new national gold purchase program, which was unveiled sometime back, you remember the ceremonial handing of gold bars by Dr. Dele. No, not even by Dr. Dele Alake.
It started with Buhari. Buhari did
it. Then more recently,
when the current Minister of State Defense was the governor, he brought some to Buhari in the villa. It's not
exactly.
Today.
Now, under this program, does it worry you that we cannot put a finger and say this is the amount of gold reserve we have in the country, or even those that have been purchased and are domiciled with the CBN? I know the Bank of Spain and the likes pride themselves in their gold reserve. Of late, it was blamed on the activities of the Ansarua commander, but the NFIU helped Nigeria in quelling that. Why are we still unable to put a figure to how much the program has brought in so far and where we intend to get to?
Agencies like NFIU, ICPC, and the Financial Commission, the ICP and EFCC, they will come together, bring viability. But the real thing is that the running of that sector, who are running it, how much ready are they to be transparent? Then the government itself, we have ministry that are in charge, Dele Alake's ministry, that are in charge of solar mineral and mines. They have brought up a lot of policy and regulatory regime to make sure that this particular sector is viable. But not the day you plan that you achieve your objective. But what I'm trying to say is that the people running that sector have a way to keep. It has been what bedevils that sector. Even in the international community, Russia is in Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger today, as a result of some particular minerals. When France and the United States were kicked out of Niger, it has mineral connotation. So this is an international scale transparency level conundrum that it has been like that in that sector, and people in that sector continue to fester in that regard. So what I'm trying to say is that there is no yet a time that for now that you can, because of the player in that sector, they are very, very important. There are some people that make it easy for them to report. You can report, Mr. Brian, you can report the number of recharge cards we use today in Nigeria. So government know how much tax and revenue they will get from the telecom sector. People who bring imported goods, cars, household appliances, by 80 to 90% through the border can report and pay custom duty. But one thing that remains moribund is the explorative industry. The reportage in terms of transparency is very low, and it's not encouraging over the year. And it has nothing to do with maybe government or no government. The player in that sectors are the one who are underreporting, and the transparency in such sector will continue to remain moribund in as much as the player keep to be playing a smart one on the system. Saudi Aramco, for instance, they have a machine that has been linked to all oil well in the Saudi.
It can quantify how much is produced.
If you put a rig anywhere, as you bring out, it shows at
the amounts that has
at the Riyadh Palace. The palace. So today we sell 3 million. Is it like that in Nigeria? So these are the problem we have, and going forward, there are expertise in that field that the government need to bring in and be able to have a lot of remote sensing experts, geologists that can do that, and they make sure that as soon as any oil producing area, you put a rig and you do any exploration, they say
we should be able to,
they have
automate it.
Just a
technology should be deployed in that
just
regard.
a single chips, you can get that just attached to their rig.
Now let's come back to this MTEF 2026 to 2028. 2026 in itself is a very peculiar year. It's the year that precedes the general election. And from time immemorial in history, you know that it is a very speculative year in terms of investments and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
Now, quite interestingly, inflation, which has been one of the biggest drivers of whatever projections you make economically, has been on a decline for 3 consecutive months in the country. A part of the benchmarks which were reached yesterday in that announcement was an 18% inflationary rate. This would also have a direct correlation to our exchange rate, which was also projected to be at 1,512 to $1. Looking at this, going with the current policy of the government in being able to stabilize the exchange rate. Is it optimistic to say that these are some of the key parameters that would also indicate the success of this MTEF in terms of what our revenue is and where the deficit is?
You know, now we started this discussion by trying to look at the negatives and see how we can. Now, you see,
this is part of the positives.
Yes, you see, the government over the year have invested in critical sector, which one of them is agriculture. You know, 70% of our employment and non-oil revenue, our people that the GDP of our country,
biggest contributors to
the GDP is the agricultural
and
sector.
Service sectors. Well.
Now you see, government has invested in it both internationally and locally. If there is a shortfall in any produce, government will have a way to mitigate so that the price of that particular produce will be stable, and this vis-a-vis have effect in all other sector. Is it the communication sector? Is it the other durables that are linked to agriculture? So going forward, I think the government will still keep. I think they will keep their eye on the ball as those policies that they put in to make that I will have that stability. And going forward, they will be able to continue to watch, because the Minister of Agriculture, both Minister of State and Minister of they are on it. Then all the other sector that are related to that sector, they are working in consonant, even with the Committee on Agriculture in the National Assembly. They are working pari passu to make sure that that decline is sustained. Then our exchange rate is allowed to be stable, because it's with stability in exchange rate that a nation can plan and appropriately discharge its function as a nation.
Now, this benchmarks is quite interesting when you look at the revenue sharing formula. And why I mentioned 2026 and its peculiarities ahead of the elections, with all focus on the need for local government autonomy to be seen to be working. The estimated 50 trillion naira in revenue that would accrue in 2026 has also been shared with the federal government to take about 22.6 trillion naira. The states are taking 16.3 trillion naira, whilst local governments are taking about 11.85 trillion naira. My focus now is on the local government. You know, we're still discussing the alleged Osun withheld local government funds and all those discrepancies. But what's the level of confidence you have when you see on paper this brilliant sharing formula? Do you think it would adequately translate into this tiers of governments getting the revenues, barring whatever deficits are?
I think there is a constitutional review that is going on. There are key 3 areas the local government should be included. Number 1 is the security of the local government space. Number 1 is economic activities in the local government, because the closest tiers of government to the people is still the local government. And there is a Chinese philosophy that said it's only at the graveyard that you dig from the top. So it's only grave diggers that normally dig from the top. So if the local government are allowed to function optimally by giving them autonomy in this key area, which is in the area of security, economic activities, and financial complete financial autonomy away from the states and the control interference of the state government, I think the local government too will come to contribute their part in making sure that we have security, both the physical security and food security. We have about 775 local government. If every of the local government is turned to a production centers, and you give them a area of strength, that okay, what do you have a strength? As a local government that's about 11,000 square kilometer, New Busa in Niger State, and they have the wherewith resources. That's bigger than some states, and they have the wherewith. They have 2 dams. They have one of the greatest national reserve, wildlife reserve, conservation reserve. They have body of water that can do agriculture all around the year. With those particular resources, that local government can champion its own existence. But it's moribund because the state can continue to interfere in the affair of that local government. If you go to, like Amak, where we are now, it can sustain itself, even support the federal government because of what the resources they have. Ikeja in Lagos, the Victoria Island in Lagos, because of the economic activities we have there in Port Harcourt, and Nasarawa local government in Kano. The Kaduna main metropolis, the local government in Kaduna main metropolis, those local government, if they are allowed to function optimally on their own, they can sustain themselves, even assist the state government. There are key indices and a key function that are meant for local government. State government should answer for it, like primary education, primary health. Whatever money is coming to the local government in that regard, the state government should focus on better function. You don't become a state government and be constructing 5 kilometers of road around the local government. The local government should be able to expand. It will encourage leadership. It will give them executive skill.
Theoretically speaking, I agree with you.
That's the way it has been.
Theoretically speaking, I agrre with you.
Look,
but when a situation where a lot of the states that should be viable on their own are resorting to borrowing.
You see,
they're resorting to dependence on FAC allocations. Where does this viability that you're brilliantly encapsulated
Now, the first thing the state government will do to be viable is to make the local government function. Because the moment local government function, based on the resources that are prevalent in such local government, like now in Kogi State, we have 3 cement industry in Kogi State. Kogi State is the size of Belgium. Belgium does not have any physical resources. They just have the manpower and the technical know-how. They go hunt for resources outside Belgium. Today, can you compare Kogi State? They are about the same size. So if you look at the size of Kogi State now, in
terms of land mass,
in terms of resources, they have more resources than Belgium. It's not something that we'll be discussing on paper. If you Google it, you see it. Kogi State have bitumen. They have body of water. The confluence of River Niger is in Kogi State.
But they also bedeviled by rising insecurity.
No, you see. Let me give you. Idle hand is the devil's workshop. Insecurity has 2 faces. The moment the unit or the tier of government are supposed to function optimally, like now, the security summit organized by the northern governor, I've told you here, the emirate knows the family of all the Boko Haram and bandit members, and they have Dagachi in every of the villages. Who knows this person, knows his father that gave birth to him. If constitutional rule is assigned to the emirs,
traditional rulers as well,
they have the lieutenant, Mianguas and other things. They can call them together. If they really want to solve this problem, if we really want to solve it, that's the way to go. And it will start from the bottom to the top.
Now let's not digress. We'll come back to security.
Let me now borrow the Chinese philosophy. He said it's only grave diggers that start from the top. You want to dig a grave, you start from. But if you really want to build, you look at the seed from the roots. That's where you apply nutrients. So that when the seed got nutrient in the roots, it will not germinate, then it will bear fruit. So the local government is the key. Functional local government is the key to the Nigerian development. Anything less will be in the same conundrum. We must allow local government to have 100% autonomy away from the state government.
All right, before we rest this MTEF discussion, one last thing to chip in as we look into the outlook for 2026 to 2028 is the amount as earmarked for debt servicing.
Yeah.
About 10.91 trillion naira
Yeah.
is now being earmarked as debt servicing under this medium-term expenditure framework.
Yeah.
How can we better our lots, come out from this habit of using a huge chunk of our revenue to continue to service debt?
If you look at the global index on debt ratio, China and the United States have the highest debt, but they are doing well. Kano Maradi rail line is backed by, I think, a Portuguese and Brazilian consortium who does not have the technical know-how to bring in the manpower. They supply it to a Chinese company. I think CCCE. They are doing that contract across the northern corridor. It's about $4 billion US contract, I think, if I get the figure right. Let me tell you, that rail line, if it comes to life, it can generate money to pay back those debts. If you go through Nasaraha today and you are going to Jos, you know there's a road on that axis that's tolled. It was a private partnership. So if the government earmark money for debt services, let us be knowledge-driven in some things that government does, so that we will not criticize without providing the real solution. So the government budgeting such amount of money knows that, okay, we borrow here and there. They will continue to service.
In simple terms, it should be for infrastructure projects.
There are a lot of infrastructure projects. That's what I'm saying. Like the Calabar coastal line, the Sokoto Badagry Expressway. These are landmark projects anywhere in the world that everybody.
But Mr. Yusuf, no one has an issue with this project.
Yeah,
it's on the timeline for delivery and the priority spending areas. If we have these projects that would take a number of years,
eternity.
Whilst we have other areas of priorities that will better attend to the needs of Nigerians, how do we get citizens to be on board with helping governments? Because people talk about the fact that my last guest said that there were no need assessments before certain monies were marked for certain things. No, because so we don't give communities that need bridges, we don't give them flyovers when they need.
Because I'm not a part of the government, or I'm not where decision is making. I won't see everybody in government as if they are not doing anything. Needs assessment by Ministry of Works, for instance. They know what they want to do. They are engineers, they're well trained, and people who know their onions and have delivered. Let me give you an instance.
But the needs assessment should be with the communities benefiting from
the FCT in Abuja, that where we are today. You know that across Africa in the last 30 years, no beautiful city has sprung up like Abuja. It's the only city that competes with Abuja now is this new.
In terms of the pace of infrastructural development,
the new Cairo is the new city, one of the new cities in Africa that has sprung up that can compete with Abuja in terms of development strides. Right? Look at the beautiful bridges in Abuja. Some people did it. You must give it to them. The design. Look at the area where your studio is located. Beautiful. One of the best in Africa. Neighborhood you can get. Look at Asokoro. Look at Metama. Beautiful design. What I'm trying to say is that if somebody do well, if people are doing something, let's acknowledge what they are doing.
The areas of commendation.
Let's commend it. Let's know that something is being done. But we know they say Oliver Twist always asks for more. And if there are some people that are not doing well, there are sectors that are not viable. That we discuss mining, we discuss the financial sector. As to transparency, we just discussed it a while ago. So what I'm trying to say is that borrowing is not a crime if it's judicially applied for what it's meant for. So that's my take as far as the borrowing and the money earmarked. That money may not even be enough if we look at how much we are really owing. Like we've write off some debts in recent time. The government should be commended because we are off the IMF borrowing and the West. That is one of the shackles that has held Nigerian back, because when they give you the money, they will dictate what you need to do or dictate to your economy as to what you need to do. So what I'm trying to say is that the borrowing is okay if it will be applied for what it was meant for.
Well, we're also hopeful as we look into the period of 2026 to 2028 in terms of the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework. Speaking after the 154th NEC meeting, the Minister of National Planning and Budget, Alhaji Atiku Bagudu, did say he's hopeful that with the macroeconomic stability gains achieved by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, that the revenue gaps would be plugged and leakages also shored up to ensure that we boost our GDP to revenue and also curb our debt servicing to better the lot of Nigerians in terms of budget implementation, and fiscal planning. And away from that, there was also another approval as given by NEC, and this time is for the sum of 100 billion naira as earmarked for the rehabilitation of police and security training institutions across the country. It's coming at a time when Nigeria is largely bedeviled by a rising spate of insecurity and banditry, with focus on the need to recruit more boots on grounds in terms of manpower for the army and police. Now, Mr. Yusuf, it's quite interesting when we look at some of the edifices where the men who are saddled with the responsibility to, on the one hand, maintain law and order and also protect the territorial integrity of the country in terms of the police and the army, some of the facilities they use to train, to keep themselves up par with some of the much needed acumen to handle some of these very difficult tasks, leave for little to be desired of. Some of them can barely serve as even refugee camps. What do you make of this move and the approval by NEC?
You know, when Shagari was the president of Nigeria, he couped the police. And after the coup, that's why some people are asking for military coup. They don't know what military does to this country. The inter-uniform rivalry within the police and the military. Muhammadu Buhari collected all those things and returned some of them to the soldiers, to the military. Have APC, riot-ready. Used to have the best riot police in the world as at that time because of the level of investment. If that is what they call kill and go, if the mobile police are coming to town, if you are a criminal or you are a hooligan, you better take on your heel. We have the history of when police can stampede, riot, or quell any insurgency or any. And you know that with information and intelligence available to the police, they will come out prepared, knowing where to hit. But that particular incursion into the space by the military and the interagency rivalry that existed within the police and the army bastardized that particular arrangement. We could have grown in that stride. So now with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu having an NSA who is a policeman, not even being a policeman, there is a need for Nigeria to make sure that our police are seriously equipped with more boots on the ground and universal best equipment that are available around the world to be purchased and given to the police. Then the training facility. If you go to all the police barracks and you see the hostel where recruit police are being trained, you will not be proud to be a policeman because they will keep them in an police state. Even the institutions themselves need to do, the leadership of the police institution need to come more transparent in terms of managing resources. You can't be a police commissioner in a state and resources are allocated to you and maybe probably these resources end up in your pocket because you are a police commissioner. You will not go, at least if you are taking care of hostel dormitory once after every year, you say, okay, I will do one particular block a year. You will have a standard and a well-habitable police training center for all the police. So going forward, what I think the government should do in that regard is to declare a total emergency in police facility and structure all over the country. Then with this acceptance by all the governors for state policing and community policing, that's why I will go back to local government again. If the state will recruit 10,000 police, and each local government should do at least 500 for them for their own personal use. Nigeria has the wherewith. It's a lie from the pit of hell for anybody to tell you that Nigeria doesn't have the resources to do this. Because we travel around Nigeria and we see one of the most...
Now, talking about the resources, I was looking at the statement as issued, and it was quite interesting to note that the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications in the Office of the Vice President, Mr. Stanley Walkocha, also mentioned an additional 2.6 billion naira for consultancy services in terms of this rehabilitation project. When people look at those sums, it's always in the tendency of Nigerians to say who will be the consultants and how will they reach the agreements on that
money. By the time you share that money by 37 state police command, how much will each police command? Ikeja, for instance, and in Lagos, where they train police in Lagos, the facility that Lagos needs, the Southwest governors have security fund that kits the security agents in the state with modern gadgets and training. The northern governor just came up with 1 billion naira per state in the next 6 months from each state so that they will have a security trust fund for the Northern Security Agency, such as to make sure that they are able to meet the demands as of training. What I'm just trying to say is that there's a need for transparency in the disbursement as to who will be the
I agree with you, because the vice president also alluded to that. He charged the state governments to ensure, the state governors rather, to ensure that all these budgeted amounts translate to visible improvements in the edifices.
When you do a security summit and you come up with a communique, the implementation is the most important thing. What is not a rocket science to, if you give me money now, I know what to get for the police. I will deliver it. But would you also need to consult the police to be sure that what you think they need is what they indeed actually need? If I give you money and you will not do it by yourself, I will do it for you. You understand? I will do it for you because at the end of the day, it will affect the inefficiency of police is affecting all of us. So if the police have a regime of not doing the needful for themselves, they will outside that they used to say that when two brothers are fighting over their father's property and they refuse to agree, it's outside that will come and benefit when the two of them kill each other. So what I'm just trying to say is that the police must be above board in discharging their own responsibility in terms of, because it's a common saying that self-preservation is the first law of survival. The military that you see, they kit themselves, they make because they love themselves. It's because they care about themselves, and nobody will care for you if you yourself do not care about yourself. So, number one, the police must be ready. There is a story which I cannot verify. The queen came during Chogom, and look at the way Nigerian police are kitted, and she said she would give 2 uniform complete set to all the Nigerian police. Then the IG then was struggling to get the contract for himself. And the woman get angry.
I like that you put that it was unverified, so let's not dwell on it.
No, let me just give you. No, you see, sometimes if we don't discuss some issue and you get out there,
we have to make them factual as well.
It was something that is in public domain. This is story.
I agree with you, Mr. Yusuf.
I don't come here when
but let's take from the president's directive. The time is almost fast spent, so let's stick with the factual ones we have and get your view on them.
You could have let me land on that issue. So,
I would let you land, but let me chip this in. You can find a way to merge it so that we manage time. In the interim, with the deficit in infrastructure and the need to up training, the president has also moved to declare a nationwide state of emergency on security. In that directive, he has also asked that there be additional recruitments of police.
50,000 police.
But the challenge is, with this deficit on ground, he has suggested that NYSC training camps should be the makeshift
camp for police training.
Beautiful. I'm happy that you followed the story. So
you see,
how do you assess that?
The major thing they say, charity begins at home. Police itself must be able to believe above board. Because it's you that need it, it's you that won't use it. Then if you don't care to, there can be, who does that? That a security agent who doesn't have a training facility, they have to be using a makeshift camp at this 21st century, which means they have not been doing anything in terms of their own welfare. They have a good academy in Kano, Bompai, where they train police. From there, they can do a lot of, look at the Nigerian Army. As you go through all their facilities around Nigeria, they have a college education, they have a university. There's a new one they just set up in Biu. NDA itself has turned a full-fledged university where the military and the civilian go there to have knowledge. What stop policing for police from doing that? And they are the one that will do it for themselves. Nigerians can only support. Because now, if you put it on them that you want to do this for them, at the end of the day, they will fault it because they will say it's not a generic something that come directly from them. So what I'm saying is that self-preservation is the first law of our survival. They themselves, police, must bear a new regime that cater for them. During the NSAS, the major 5 points that make the NSAS tick was all about police. Give police good uniform, give police good allowance. That's why the NSAS resonate with some sensible people until when they turn into what they turn to. So what I'm just trying to say is that the police itself must purge itself from within and bring a new regime of police loving itself. Then you can't, if you don't love yourself, there's no way other people will be able to love you. So,
this love you're talking about, I'm tempted to ask the question, are you also looking at it from the subtle rivalry between the Police Service Commission and the MTEF when it comes to recruitment and certain promotions? Because over time, it has been in the news that there is a perceived fracture.
When was the Police Service Commission established? And what was this, the Nigerian police is bigger than the Police Service Commission.
But with this, this new creation
And
has caused this rivalry.
what is happening is that if there is not a crack, a lizard will not come into the house. So even the people appointed in the Police Service Commission are still derived from, some of them are derived from the police, the board of that commission and the likes, and the head of that, it has been a police officer. So when you come in, you are supposed to be a synergy. It's not supposed to be a rivalry. That's what I'm saying. Like now in the National Assembly, and the legislature and the executive in Nigeria, somebody told me that they are having, they don't have rivalry. They are doing party. I said, what do you want? If they fight, you say they are fighting. If they come together and work in synergy, you say they work in synergy. What do we really want? The Service Commission is set up to cater for the police, and the police and the Service Commission, they don't have any other choice than to work together. What I'm just saying is that if we need to build a viable institution, those in that institution must also live above board to come in tandem with what is universally accepted in terms of the word policing. It's not a record. Even the military, what they need is not a record science. All we need is to put all hands on deck. Something happened in one of the locality in Borno. The people in that community have had enough. Immediately they cited the Boko Haram. They went for the police, went for the civil defense, and they went after. They did not allow them to come and commit mayhem in their community. They gave them money for money, and 4 of those bandits were brought yesterday or day before yesterday. They were brought down. That's what you get when everybody put all hands are on deck. The military, and they have to chase the Boko Haram into their enclaves.
Now in closing, we have a little less than 5 minutes to close. I'd like to ask on 2 more directives.
Yeah.
One, we've heard this time and time again that police have been withdrawn from VIP escort duties.
Yeah.
That's on the one hand.
Yeah.
Now, the new Chief of Defense Staff has also said that what he would also want for the military is for them to be withdrawn from checkpoints. Let them allow police and NSCDC to take over checkpoints.
Yes.
These 2 directives now, how do we synergize to ensure that there's no conflict of interest? If we're removing the military from checkpoints and police are supposed to do that, are you sure that those police who have enjoyed VIP privileges of escorting some of our very renowned and eminent leaders across the world would be happy to resume these duties?
You know, when you take up this job, that is the rule of engagement. Even when we talk here, we don't just talk anyhow. And even when I want to say something, you gag me so that I will. It's what your work entails and demand. The police have a statutory rule. The army have it. Army are supposed to take care
territorial
of
integrity,
external aggression. It's not this what the army is doing. It's not within their purview. It was police that's supposed to do this. It's because of a decadence over the year that you see the military have been brought in for civil conflict resolution.
Now, in civil conflicts, are citizens supposed to also be part of this discussion? Because the perception towards police coming to resolve civil disputes, most times civilians do not even pay police respect. But once they see an armed man, a uniformed soldier coming,
it's hangover. Fela Nicola Kuti say it's an hangover. We had hangover over the years because we have a lot of years of military incursion. So because military has barricaded other security agency in taking, because when you have a military president and you misbehave or you did anything, they give soldier order. So we are used to it. Okay, the way they will come, but we now see the police as lesser. But I told you of a particular mobile force trained around Jos in Shari Ilang, Goza, somewhere in Borno. There, they have a training facility. Product of there, even the product from that particular facility, they call them kill and go. When they come to town for riots or any insecurity, you don't dare. They have a best techniques in curtailing, but because of over dependence on the Nigerian army, all those parameters, and I told you how much Shagari equipped them as at that time to make sure they can function. And talking about the VIP policing, we have private security guards who train a lot of people. If you go to club or any, you see bouncers, or even events, weddings, you see them. They train them for that purpose. I think anybody that needs a private security, they should look towards those areas because there are a lot of them that spring up. But as far as police and the army are concerned, the holding arm bag for madam is not their area of or becoming driver to a VIP. On a single person, we have more than 10 police in his convoy. It's not supposed to be like that. Then, if he's saying that all those ones should be withdrawn, those ones attached to generals, former generals, like the one who have the one that left his duty and was guarding land, a man that's supposed to be at the war front, turned to a megad inside Abuja. He said that is fighting with the minister that is on his lawful duty. All those type of people should be taken back. The new minister should also look at it, because you can't say because you are a former military scribe, you now all your lifetime they have given themselves too much power in this country. You see somebody having more than 20 personnel, police, because you have become a general in the Nigerian army. Nowhere in the world such thing is done. So as a trained army, a general yourself, you are supposed to be able to even take care of yourself, because you have the wherewith to be able to do so.
In closing, another recommendation where they can source for this private protection detail is the NSCDC as instructed by President Bola.
NSCDC also have their statutory duty, which is guiding the critical infrastructure, mass, bridges, and so many other things, pipelines. So they have a statutory duty. They are not they are not private guys.
Do you think this directive will somewhat overburden them?
You see, we have 230 million people. We can expand. So the private security area should be empowered. The licensing should be, and the training and the ammunition they can bear based on what they are going to do should be expanded. So if that one is expanded, then we can take care. These people can now face on their own statutory duty. Critical infrastructure is for NSCDC, from pipeline to other things. But the police is the unit that take care of, that bridge the gap between the military even and the people. Police is supposed to be the highest echelon of our internal security, while the army will do the external security. And then one thing again is that security is security. There must be synergy in the approach. Like when you have the custom manning the border, as you bring in goods and services, there are things that we don't need. NAFDAC will be there. Standard Organization of Nigeria will be there. Many regulatory bodies are with custom to check, okay, this pharmaceutical.
And immigration.
And to check. Now, the army supposed to be there too, to make sure that if there are some things that people don't understand in terms of ammunition, then they see it in the container or any of this, the army must be able to, this is that. Then army is supposed to be a coordinating house, because they take care of the external aggression. But the police is the highest echelon of security in any nation. If this police has broken down, there will be insecurity in that, because they are the one that gather intelligence. They are supposed to be at the parameter to the people. Every local government is supposed to have a certain number of police and such intelligence officer. Then we have other units like the SSS, the DSS. We have their statutory rules. They're supposed to spread it across the country, so that when we now put it in a synergized approach, we'll have the best of security network. All hands need to be on deck.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf Muyideen, for taking our time to lend your thoughts and comments to the discussion this morning. We appreciate you.
You are highly welcome. It's nice being here.
Well, this is where we draw the curtains to a close on our current affairs-driven discussions this morning on Morning Express. My name is Beat O'Brien. Thanking you for always choosing to start your day on ADBN Television. At the top of the hour, we'd hand you over to our sports desk in Uyo for a review of some of the midweek actions from the English Premier League, the German DFB Pokal Cup, and other sporting actions as we build up going into another weekend of festive season sporting actions greeting your screens. Do well to stay tuned and enjoy all the programs we have lined up for your viewing pleasure. Have a nice day.